Welcome to my sound design field guide, and this is part 2 in Ambient Pads and Textures, and we're going to get started pretty quickly here. I'm going to be using the JD-08, which is an emulation of the JD-800, which is a synth from the 90s. Any synth that's multi-timbral or has multiple oscillators, where the oscillators can each be controlled with the volume for each envelope can control a independent oscillator, will work just fine. So something like the Op6 will work for this. The mod wave, I believe, will work. The Blofeld will work, and there's plenty of soft synths that should work for this. There's even Roland's own JD-800 plugin that would work for this. And yeah, so let's get started, and you'll hear what I mean. So we have an A init patch here, and the JD-08 starts with a sawtooth. Not particularly cool, but it's not bad sounding either for a PCM sample. That's what the JD-800 uses. It's pretty cool. Yeah, so the first one that we're going to do is layer 1. And I'm going to pick a very soft sounding pad sound. And the great thing is there's even one called soft pad. And that is waveform 13 here. Pretty nice sounding. Let's shape the envelope. What we want to do is we want to have a pretty quick attack on this one. We're going to layer attacks. That's what we're going to do. Cool. And we'll have a bit of release here. I'm in the amplifier section here for the envelopes. Each of the layers has its own set of envelopes, and it has its own set of everything. So each layer is an independent synth on this, pretty much. All right. Kind of boring, but still lovely nonetheless. Cool. So we have layer 1 taken care of. We're in active layer 1, so we're controlling layer 1. And what we're going to do is we're going to switch to active layer 2 only. We're only controlling layer 2, and we'll turn on layer 2. It'll be an init patch again, or just sawtooth. And for that, I'm going to use 10, which is called pulse mod, as the waveform. It's a modulated pulse width. And we're going to have this kick in a little later, so we're going to turn it up to around 70 or so. Oh, that's a little too quick. Let's do there. Cool. Maybe a little later, 82. So yeah, that's the attack envelope, or attack, sorry. And let's release that just about the same. I think that sounds a little bit on the harsh side. So what we're going to do is we're going to change the cutoff. All right, and that sounds really cool. And let's make it a little more exciting. Let's pitch this up by 7 semitones so that we'll make it a fifth up from the first one. So yeah, we're doing 7 semitones. And then when we add tone A back in, or layer 1, it'll sound pretty cool. So let's go back to layer active. Let's disable layer active so we don't mess something up. And then tone A is now added in. So here. I think it's still, layer 2 is activating way too quickly. So let's go back to layer active, turn that on. We're going to make more attack. More attack. That's still too much. Cool. So let's just double check to see how that's going in. All right, that takes a long time to fade in. That's perfect. Okay. slow pad. Cool, that is sounding absolutely amazing. So let's add another one, and we're going to turn off all the other layers, so we can just hear this one. Another layer, I mean. So let's activate just layer C. All right, and we're going to use one called pitch wind, and obviously that's wind. So let's make sure the oscillator is set to 0 in terms of the tuning ratio between the others. All right, and we'll go to this. And we want that to pop in very, very late in the scheme, so... Well, that's a little too late, isn't it? Let's go maybe around here. And then we'll have a lot of release on that because we want this to fade out a lot later than everything else. This is going to eat up polyphony because this is going to stay so like active for so long. But if you get note stealing just with the wind sound, especially with a delay and reverb, it won't be terrible. You'll hear that later. I know that that's pretty quiet, but it'll add. I think that sounds amazing and cool. So now we have everything ready. So let's add them all together. Well, we don't have the effects chain, but here. So let's start with one, our soft pad, and then modulated square. Cool. And then our wind. Now let's add them all together. Now with a reverb, that's going to sound insane. So I'm going to save this because what I want to do is not mess it up. So it's saved now. So we go to init and back. That'd be hilarious if that screwed up and I just wasted that time, but it didn't. Cool. So the reason is I wanted to save that so we could go to a just a standard init patch so we can hear what all the effects are doing by themselves. We're going to solo them out so you can kind of hear what's going on. I kind of want to explain how the effects are going to work in patches. That's kind of why I do these videos. All right, so yeah, we'll start with a delay here. I would choose a ping pong delay and one that can do golden ratio as the second tap in the ping pong delay if you can. It doesn't really matter. It'll sound great either way. And it needs to have a modulation section, and it also needs to have a tone control. Those are your only two major things you need. I'm going to use the Ecolution 3 here. You could use something like the Dig or countless plugins. But I'm going to use the Ecolution. I don't use it enough. It sounds fantastic, especially the filter on this thing, and that's kind of what we need. We need to take off some of the harshness that this is going to do in the repeats. So, yeah, here. That's what it sounds like in standard ping pong mode with golden ratio on the second tap. I have this set to control the tone now, so we can hear that. That's amazing. We'll have the repeats. I have the repeats set to about what I want. You want the time up into the seconds range, like 2-3 seconds if you can. Guess that's not really that far in, but yeah, it's fun. I'll max it out for the time on the knob control here. So just a long delay, that's what we want. And some tone shaping, make it nice and dark. Oh, yes, that's exactly what we want. Now we want to add some modulation. Let's add some depth to that and speed. You can hear the detuning happening. It plays with that tone control really nicely. It's too much, obviously, but maybe like here. Just do this by ear. Whatever sounds good is good. Cool, so we have that set, and now I'm going to use the Ventress. You can use any large ambient delay. You can use something like the Cloudburst, the Night Sky, some of the VSTs like the Valhalla stuff will work too. Anything that's kind of a multi-tap delay that turns into a reverb. Heck, you could use the Polymoon for this. Anything like that. That we're going to use the EDOM algorithm, which is a multi-tap from what I understand that is diffused. And yeah, so let's shape that. We want a lot of decay time. And you'll need dampening controls because we want to bring down the treble. And you also want modulation on the reverb. There, you can hear that. Bright. Not so bright, but with decay for days. We want the pre-delay time down at a minimum because it's a pad. Plus we can use the delay to add some space. The delay's kind of in there just to keep the pad going and to minimize note stealing when you play a lot of notes. So, I mean, there will be note stealing eventually, but you won't be able to hear it with a big, long delay. At least that's my rationale. Okay, so now we're going to bring in the modulation to the reverb, which is this control here. You can hear the modulation happening. Turn up the tone again so you can hear the modulation. No mod. Sounds very sterile. Let's add some mod. Cool. Let's bring down the tone control again. And with the mix control, you don't want it too overbearing because like at 50-50, this is 50-50, I believe. It's just too overbearing, so I like to turn it way down on this algorithm, in particular on the Ventress. Cool, so let's add the delay. Gorgeous. So let's turn off both, go back to our lovely pad. And now, let's add both effects. Actually, let's hear them individually. Okay. And now just with the reverb. And now with both. That sounds absolutely fantastic. I don't know what I'm going to call it. I guess I'm going to call it something like, I don't know, the seabed floor, something like that. It reminds me of something just watery and just like sea related. I mean, yeah, we have that noise in there. It's kind of airy, but it's just so, I don't know. It's so ethereal, but it's so strangely dark at the same time. I think what's really doing it is just the overall pad that we have. Like it's very mellow. That's really good. And the fifth on the second oscillator, I think, really helps sell that. It's almost spacey. You kind of hear that in a lot of like space music or just like space style themes and like Japanese RPGs. Like I don't know, Star Ocean. They used a lot of fifths in that, didn't they? In the soundtrack. And that can be padded out into your just into your ambient compositions, obviously, when it's the name of the pad. And I think it sounds, again, I mean, I'm biased because I made it, but I think that's gorgeous. Yeah, thanks for watching. I hope this really helped out. Gave me an opportunity to really use the JD-08. I really need to use it in more videos. I've had it for a little bit of time now. I just haven't really gotten around to it. It's just such a complicated synth. But yeah, again, thanks for watching. If you really like this kind of stuff, go ahead and give me a thumbs up and subscribe to my channel. I noticed a lot of my traffic is from people that aren't subscribed, and it's not for monetary gain. I don't monetize my channel, so it's not a thing like that. It's mostly so I can just see if what I'm doing is really like reaching an audience and if I should just keep doing it. This is my hobby, so yeah, it means a lot to me if you subscribe to my channel and, you know, give me a like if it's something you like. Yeah, go in the description, or I'm sorry, the comments, and discuss if there's some VSTs that can do similar things, or if you want to ask me some questions or give me ideas about some more videos you would like to see in the sound design field guides.